So today, lads, Napheesa Collier has spoken to Kamala Harris she was talking to Kamala Harris about, what was going on. What was going on? She was speaking to her about the whole talk on Cathy Engelbert. And I'm going to talk about it in more depth tomorrow. Like, Fee going rogue. I actually saw this on like a no cap space video where they were like basically explaining. I actually think it's a really good point. I'm going to give my opinions on it there, but like obviously that's where I got the idea for that from. But they basically said Fee going rogue is the best possible thing because you could say like this would if this was something from the WNBA, an argument would be made like that's kind of not ideal, like that it comes from them. If it's Fee going rogue, then like it's hard to negotiate with after what Fee said. If that was the WNBA stance, then it becomes hard to negotiate in good faith when you hate Cathy that much. And if it's just Fee going rogue, it's Fee going rogue. But let's take a listen to what she has said right here about why she did it. And her reasoning is it kind of sounds like part of the reasoning. Some people basically said Fee was furious that she got knocked out of the playoffs, and part of the reasoning might be how she got hurt. So let's take a listen.
I never had planned to do that before. I am on the union for our CBA negotiations, like our collective bargaining negotiations for our league.
I mean, she said she had never planned on doing it. So, sorry, apologies, have to lower higher volume because I can hear what's going on. But, so she never planned on doing it, but did it anyway, but then went straight to the media, apparently, with what Cathy said about Caitlin Clark and what Cathy said about all this, and then decided not to say it for 8 months till now, is a bit odd. It's a bit odd. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say it's anything crazy, but a bit odd, I think, is a fair way to describe it.
And so for so long I felt like I saw what was going on behind closed doors. For so long we tried to have these conversations and move the needle in those meetings that we would have with the league, within our leadership. And I saw nothing was changing. Coaches, winning and losing alike, were complaining about the same things over and over again.
That sounds like it's the referees. That actually sounds like her biggest complaint might be the referees. Because like what coaches are complaining about game after game after game and nothing changing is the referees. When like winners or losers alike. That's a straight up comment on Cathy Engelbert. Only losers complain about referees. Like it actually looks like the reason why Fee went on that rant was because of the referees. Because of the refereeing situation, which I mean is, as a professional basketball player, justified. I still think Fee's injury happens with any referee. Because let's be real, Alyssa Thomas, it wasn't a clean steal, but like in real time it looked clean. Napheesa Collier's natural reaction was to stick her leg out. And Alyssa Thomas ran through her leg. AT did nothing wrong except for maybe commit a common foul while stealing the ball. Like it was nothing even. It wasn't reckless from AT. AT is a dirty player. AT makes dirty plays all the time. That was not one of them.
Players over and over again, and we weren't seeing a change that our leadership was trying to make. And I think I just got to the point where I was fed up. Yeah. And, you talked about this with me backstage and it just resonated so much. It's just like whether I was going to get, annihilated for this or people were going to support me, I felt what I was doing was right. I felt like it needed to be said. So no matter the consequences, I felt like it was something that needed to be done. I never had planned to do that before.
So honestly, it sounds like the catalyst to this, and it's 100% not. Like it's definitely not the full reason why. Let's be honest. We all know these players have been pissed. We all know they hate Cathy Engelbert. Like we all know that. Like that's not a secret that they dislike Cathy Engelbert. That's not a secret in any way. But we have to talk about this because it genuinely does seem like when it comes to Cathy, that the refereeing was like the last stand. The refereeing was like the final thing. And if you guys agree with that, subscribe. We are trying to hit 58k as soon as possible. We're not going to do it by the end of the season. You never know. If it goes to a game, we might. If it goes to a game 7, we might. But that would be great if we could hit that. We'd hit 57.3k by the end of the day. But yeah, it is just an all around interesting scenario to see, because reading this, first of all, kind of like mad that it's gotten big enough that she's talking with Kamala Harris. But Fee said, watch this, Cathy. So weren't some of y'all telling me Fee was letting herself be silenced by cancelling that meeting? Nobody said that. Absolutely nobody said that. I felt like what I was doing was right. I felt like it needed to be said. So no matter the consequence, I felt like something needed to be done. I actually, look, I don't necessarily, like, I think, other than name dropping Caitlin Clark, I don't think Fee and like leaking her revenue amount, I actually don't think Fee did anything wrong. Anyone's entitled to say whatever the hell they want to say. Because, like, if you're saying that, like, if you said that, like, you know, Fee's a problem, like, what Fee's doing is a problem, then I think it'd be hypocritical, because, like, Sophie Cunningham has come out and torched Cathy. Plenty of players have come out and torched Cathy. Whether it be this year, whether it be other years, like, plenty of players throughout the years have came out to torch Cathy Engelbert. Like, it's not like she's a well-liked figure. She's a despised figure. So, look, I think it's one of those things where I actually don't think Fee was wrong in most of what she said. I think Fee is there's absolutely a conflict of interest. But it's funny, people equate trying to sabotage things with conflict of interest. I don't, like, there's a big difference between there being a conflict of interest there and Fee acting with malicious intent. I absolutely don't believe Fee's acting with malicious intent. And I think even if there is a lockout, and even if the decisions of Fee and Unrivaled is the reason for a lockout, I'm not going to argue that's for malicious intent, because at the end of the day, like, there's no guarantee. Like, if there's no WNBA season, they could find money, honestly, probably as soon as the summer, to go, okay, unrivaled summer, you know, all this money, yeah, we're just going to get a couple of billionaires, yeah, okay, and we're going 5v5, we're going to build, like, we're going to build like five arenas. You're going to be kind of moving between 5 of them, home arenas, like, for this year, and then we're just going to set up teams all across the country. We're going to set up teams all around the country to just play in arenas. We're going to go and do that. Heck, we can make it a piss take, like the Chicago Sky. Like, you know what? We're not going to play in the WNBA, so the owners of this franchise, I mean, you can buy an unrivaled team. They just need to be the Chicago, I don't know. Instead of the Chicago Sky, we get the Chicago Moon. Instead of the Indiana Fever, we have the Indiana COVID. I'm just trying to think of what other. Fever is not a actual thing. Fever is a symptom. Indiana Cold Sweats. Like, instead of the LA Sparks, we've got the LA Quenched Flame. Is that the right way to describe it? I don't know. But I still think Fee is not only looking out for herself. I think even when Unrivaled, you can tell Fee's pro player. Fee's absolutely pro player. I don't think Fee's pro WM. I think Fee's anti-league. I think Fee's fine if the league doesn't happen. But, like, for the good of professional sports, there's a chance that the league going is good for the professional women's basketball. So, yeah, that is the video. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I think it's a mad one. You know, Fee with Kamala Harris. But at the end of the day, I do think the referees were actually a huge reason. And I still think when it comes to CBA negotiations, because I've talked about this in plenty of videos, like, no matter what happens, I don't think anyone is going to. I think it's hard, because any point Fee makes is always going to have that, is she just doing this for Unrivaled, in the back of your head? And it's impossible to rule out. Because, as we have said numerous times on this channel, if there is a CBA, let's just say the CBA gives makes max contract 5 million and makes rookie deals come in at 500k. Unrivaled cannot match that financially. But if that's what they're offered, but there's a caveat that you're not allowed playing Unrivaled, you're not allowed playing AU. There's no way that a Fia or a Stewie would agree with that because of how much money they're going to lose. And like Fia's husband runs the league. So yes, there's a conflict of interest. I'm not saying that what Fia's doing is bad. I'm not saying I dislike Fia. Absolutely not. But in this specific scenario, there is a conflict of interest. And it doesn't, saying conflict of interest is not this horrible thing. It's why Sue Bird, anytime they mention the CBA on her podcast, she just leaves. She just literally just leaves because she is a part owner of the Seattle Storm. So when she had Neko Wumake on her podcast, as soon as any topic about finances came, she just left the room because that is a conflict of interest. That just those conversations and what each of their opinions are going to be, because she's a part owner of the Storm, that becomes a conflict of interest. And people can see that. And it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world for there to be a conflict of interest. And it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world what Fia's doing, because I think at the end of the day, Napheesa Collier cares about players. But I also think Napheesa Collier cares about Unrivaled. And I also think Napheesa Collier cares about that league. So, look, at the end of the day, I think something's going to get figured out. Adam Silver wants a chokehold over world basketball, and he's not going to let it happen. He's not going to let it happen like this. There is genuinely a chance that the WNBA pay their players so much. They're not going to give them an exact revenue split because that would mean showing their finances, which is no one's going to do. They might offer such a large salary that Unrivaled cannot insure the salary. They can't afford to insure the salaries. So players who might be making, let's say hypothetical, 2 million in the WNBA or 200k in Unrivaled, and if you get injured in Unrivaled and you miss the WNBA season, and they put a clause in the contract where if you get injured in an outside league, you're not covered for the season, even if your contract is guaranteed, you're going to see people just naturally not playing Unrivaled. That's the most ethical way to destroy Unrivaled. That's absolutely the most ethical way to destroy Unrivaled. By putting that clause in if you're the WNBA. Because just trying to get rid of it is not going to go well. And as well as that, trying to just flat out get rid of it is probably going to be one of the key causes of a lockout. But anyway, I'll see you guys.